Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a quick overview on fuel comparisons on the 2022 Camry Hybrid LE. Now, before we continue, I did a lot of research in regards to this car, in regards to the hybrids out there on the market. Apples to apples, the car that gets closest to the Camry Hybrid would be your Honda Accord. Only problem is that even though it's very comparable, it might be a little bit bigger in cabin space and trunk space. It falls well short of what the Camry Hybrid can do in regards to fuel economy. The fuel comparison that I'm going to do today is assuming you can get 50 miles a gallon on your Camry Hybrid LE. Just a quick overview. This is what the Camry Hybrid LE looks like from the front. This is a backside, another view. Here's the interior. And this is just a quick overview. This is not really the main reason for this video. This is just to kind of show you more or less what the interior looks like. What I wanted to do is do a true comparison in regards to how much would you be saving if you were to get out of your current vehicle that you have right now and go into a hybrid Camry LE. Now, in this illustration that I have here, I do have a 2020 Dodge Challenger, and I'm not picking on the Challenger. It's a good car. It actually does decent fuel economy for a sports car. It's a V6. I'm going to do a fuel comparison between the Dodge Challenger and the Toyota Camry Hybrid. Now, when I mean a true comparison, I'm not doing like a 20-minute drive and telling you this how much I got, or I'm not even doing one fill up. What I did here is I keep track of my fuel consumption, and on my Dodge Challenger for the last 3 months and a half, dating back to February 27 of 2022, these are the numbers that my Dodge Challenger has been giving me in regards to miles driven, gallons consumed, price per gallon, miles per gallon average, and then the fuel cost. Okay, and when I say this is a true comparison, what I'm trying to say here is that this is daily driving, sometimes doing long trips, sometimes doing short trips. Well, even at this point here, if you see, it goes on my averages, it goes from 15 to 18 to 17 to 18. In this area here, I started being very conscious of how much I was accelerating, and so I was babying the car a little bit, and I was able to reach averages of about 18 miles a gallon on my Challenger. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a hypothetical comparison, assuming that this Camry Hybrid can give me at least 50 miles a gallon. I wanted to see what would have been the difference comparing the miles driven, the cost, and then how much of a savings it would be. Let's take, for example, in February 27th, I drove 197 miles. On my Dodge Challenger, it consumed 11.658 gallons of gas. At that time, the price was $2.99. My miles per gallon average turned out to be 16.9, and the fuel cost to refuel my Challenger at that time was $34.96. Assuming I would have driven the same amount of miles on my Camry, 197 miles, due to it giving me 50 miles a gallon, this would have only consumed 3.94 gallons compared to 11.65 gallons. Same price, except now look at my fuel cost. Here it cost me $34.96. In my Camry, it would have cost me $11.82. Just on that one fuel up alone at $2.99 a gallon for not that many miles driven. You're talking about maybe I drove the tank maybe 2/3 of the way. I would have saved $23.15. If you go down to March, which is, you're looking at about close to like a 2-week difference. And another thing I want to talk about here as well is that my Dodge Challenger, yes, it's a daily driver, but it's only basically to and from work. I'm not using it for anything extraneous. I have another vehicle that I can use for that. So these miles are relatively on the safe side. It's low mileage driven on this car for this 3.5 months worth of driving. So in 2 weeks later, I drove 173 miles. I used 10.6 gallons of gas. The price went up on the gallons of gas. It went to 3.749. At that time, my average was 16 a gallon, and it cost me $40 to pretty much fuel up again. If we would have done the same comparison, 173 miles, it would have only used $3 gallons and 3.46 gallons, And on that one, I would have saved $27 on fuel consumption. And as you can see, it's March 24th, is about 2 weeks later, the same thing. Then we go to April the 3rd, April 16th, April 22, April 30th, and then May 12th and May 21. Like all these, the only one that's maybe within a week of itself or is on the 16th, the 22nd, and the 30th. I started using my vehicle a little bit more, and you can tell on my miles that I've driven a little bit more. But if all these numbers are matched over here, they've been converted to the new miles per gallon. Instead of the 16 or the 15 or the 18, they're all assuming you're going to get at least 50 miles a gallon. The gallons consumed here and the savings. So in the end, after about 3.5 months of driving my Challenger, I drove around 2,400 miles in those 3.5 months. I consumed 144 gallons worth of gas. On average, I paid $3.77 per gallon. And my miles per gallon on average on those 3.5 months was 17.10. Now, the reason I say, yes, it's the Challenger, but it can be anything else. Any other standard normal vehicle that's either a regular size SUV or a regular car, that you're gonna be averaging about anywhere between 15 to 20 miles a gallon. So this is a real good estimate. It's about 17 miles per gallon that it was averaging in those 3.5 months. And in those 3.5 months, I spent $547 worth of gas in order to fill up during that time. Now, if we take it over to the Camry, we're looking at the same amount of miles driven, but the difference here is the amount of gallons consumed. We go from 144 gallons consumed to only 49.5 gallons, 0.4 gallons consumed. The price per gallon remains the same. The difference here is that the miles per gallons here is 17, and over here we're assuming we're going to get at least 50. I'm assuming it gets a little bit more, but I'm being safe and going by 50. My fuel cost here, remember, it was $547. Here in the 3.5 months, I would have only spent $187.70 to fill up with the same amount of miles driven, with it, which gives me a total savings of $359.31. If you drive 2,400 miles more or less, you're gonna save on average of about $360. So let's assume we extend this to the whole year and you drive, let's say 10,000 miles. So that's basically, you're multiplying this by 4. We can multiply this by 4 and you're looking at gas savings of about $1,200 to $1,400 more or less in that 1 year. This was a eye-opener for me, only because you hear that hybrids and fuel efficiency, that in the long run it does pay out, but this is just an eye-opener for me because the numbers start to add up very quick. So if you're gonna save about $1,200 to $1,400 on gas, and that's on a safe estimate, you're talking about assuming you're only gonna be driving 10,000 miles a year. If you're gonna use this for more than that, then of course your savings is gonna be a lot more. But let's assume you only drive it for around 10,000 miles a year. You're looking at saving anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400 in a 5-year, I guess, projection. You would be looking at probably saving around $5,000 to $6,000 just on fuel alone. And we don't even know how much the price per gas is going to be tomorrow or next month or next year. So these savings will just get bigger and bigger as the price per gallon keeps on going higher and higher. So I hope this information helps. I've seen a lot of videos out there where they only do a short amount of distance, maybe even a week's worth, but I wanted to give you a true comparison between what a daily driver is, not super outdone either. It's very conservative to 2,400 miles that was driven in those 3.5 months, and look at the amount of savings I would have had using my Camry Hybrid LE compared to my Dodge Challenger. Again, 17 miles a gallon average compared to 50 miles a gallon average. There's a big difference. If this was helpful for you, please leave a comment down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And once again, thank you for watching.